I'm Rod Chappell, and welcome back to the Rod Chappell Show. You know, this is a show where we take legal concepts and put them in a useful format for people in their everyday lives. Today's show is spectacular on so many levels, and I'm really excited to have our guest because we're going to talk about a document and its ramifications and truthfully how it came to be that slavery was ended in Missouri. There are exciting events, there are festivals going on during Black History Month throughout the state, but I think that this is one that you're going to be keenly interested in. Today we've got Tammy Bruckerhoff, who is the Director of Tourism and Economic Development for the City of Hermon. Tammy, thanks for being with us.
Thank you.
Thanks. So first off, and I want to make sure that we talk about this a couple of times during this episode, you've got at least two hit programs to celebrate Black history in Hermon, Missouri?
Yes.
Right? Now, I know that Hermon's got an incredibly large Black population, right? Not so much, huh?
Very small.
Okay.
Five families.
That's incredible. Mm-hmm. But I think that makes this particular issue, this topic, all the more relevant and important, especially when people begin to fully understand it.
Yeah.
So you've got one program on the 22nd of February.
Correct.
What is it and what time does it start?
That is the Friends of Aaron. It's a gift of jazz, and it is Saturday the 22nd, at 7 p.m. at our Showboat Theater on 4th Street. Aaron is a graduate of Hermon High School, and he is a music teacher now at East Central College in Union. Oh. Aaron has formed this jazz band, and it is anywhere from 3 to 11 people that will show up as members of his band. But it's going to be a really wonderful night that we can talk about the history of jazz and its the contributions that it has made to American music. So Aaron will be there, and it will be a great evening. He will play some music, and then he will talk to us about some of the history of jazz, play some more music, talk about some history. So it's going to be a really amazing evening.
That sounds like a lot of fun.
It will be.
Now, you think if a fellow were to take his spouse, significant other, that could even classify as a date?
Absolutely.
Okay.
We're highly encouraging that.
All right. Well, I'll see what I can do about adding a party of two.
I think that would be fantastic. We're selling tickets already online on the Showboat Theater's website.
And you know how much they are?
$12, I believe.
Okay. That's very reasonable for a jazz concert at this level.
It's going to be a great evening. Yeah. Our little Showboat Theater, just on top of the beautiful history of the jazz history, is our Showboat Theater is making a wonderful comeback. Huh. So it was not really utilized in the last 10 to 15 years, and this is one of those great events that we're having that will help raise funds for the Showboat Theater as well. So a lot of good causes coming out of this one event.
Phenomenal. Do you know the website for that?
Showboattheater.org.
Oh. Showboattheater.org.
It's going to be a great evening. The doors open at 6:30, and then the show time is at 7. So Saturday, February 22nd.
Okay. That'll be great.
That'll be great.
But you've got another program going on the 29th.
We do. So the 29th is a wonderful symposium that we have worked together with Missouri Humanities Council and Cecilia Nadal of Cross-Cultural Strategies and the Deutsheim State Historic Site. So just to give you a little background history,
please.
This is a booklet, The German Immigrant Abolitionist Fighting for a Free Missouri. It was written in cooperation with St. Louis University and the Deutsheim State Historic Site. So the Deutsheim State Historic Site is a DNR site located in Hermon on Market Street and on 2nd Street. The Deutsheim worked with Dr. Sidney Norton to write this history about the German abolitionists of Missouri. Yeah. So on the cover here is the printing press that was used by early German abolitionists who wrote a newspaper that was against slavery. So Hermon was very anti-slavery. There was only one slave that we know of in Hermon.
Wow.
And that's a history that we did not really know of until last year. So Dr. Norton wrote this with Deutsheim about 2 to 3 years ago. And then this wonderful woman came to Hermon, and her name is Cecilia Nadal.
I had a chance to talk with her on the phone. She is wonderful, isn't she?
She is absolutely amazing, and she has brought a whole new history to Hermon that we did not really realize we had. Cecilia came to the Deutschheim. She toured the Deutschheim. She saw the printing press, and she felt a story coming from that. She bought this book, which is a $10 publication at the Deutschheim, and she took it home. She let it lay for a year, and then a year later, she picked it up and read it. And from this, she wrote a play called An Amazing Story, German Abolitionists of Missouri.
I heard about that in St. Louis.
Yes, so it was in St. Louis last year in June.
Okay.
I did not know about it. I did not go. So Cindy from the Deutschheim State Historic Site went to the play, and she came home from the play, and she calls me, and she's like, Tammy, we have got to bring this play to Hermon. And so that was the end of June.
Okay.
And she said, if Cecilia can get her artists together, her actors together, can we pull it off at the Showboat? And I said, whew. I said, how long? How when?
Right.
So about 3.5 weeks later,
Whoa.
we had over 170 people probably attending this play that Cecilia Nadal wrote.
Yes.
And it has started a whole conversation in Hermon about history that we did not even know about.
Wow.
So it was really interesting also because in June of last year, June of 2019, I was at the Missouri Association of Convention and Visitors Bureau's conference as part of my position, and Representative Richard Brown was there from Kansas City.
Yes.
Representative Brown is on the Tourism Commission for the state as well. So he got up in front of our group and he challenged us. He said, pick up your phones and go to Google and Google like what Black Americans can do in Hermon, Missouri. And I sat there and I thought, oh my gosh, what would they do? You know, would they feel comfortable if they came to Hermon? You know, we have a jazz festival, and we'll talk more about that.
Please.
But I just was so touched by him pointing that out to us,
Yes.
that we really need to think about that audience and what they might do if they came to Hermon.
Right.
Is it something different that they would do? Is it something that everyone else does? What is it that they would do? So that was June.
Okay.
The play comes to us in July.
Okay.
And after that, we're like, what's next?
Right.
We have to continue this excitement. The play that Cecilia brought to us, there were all age groups there. There were so many educated people, non-educated people. It didn't matter. We were all there to learn.
Yes.
And we all learned about this history that we really had no idea about. Wow. My mom at the time was 78 years old, and she went with me, and she had no idea about all of this history that went on in Hermon, Missouri, and she's lived there all of her life.
Wow.
And that's how so many people were after the play, we had this conversation.
Okay.
And so many of the people, the guests in the audience were like, how come we never knew this?
Right.
How come this wasn't taught in our schools? How come we didn't know about this history? But it's the determination and the education of the Deutschheim State Historic Site, working with Dr. Sydney Norton, and then Cecilia bringing it to life for us through the play. You know, so many of us learn in different ways, and I'm probably not the one that's going to sit down and read a book. Now, I will go on the tour of the Deutschheim, which I've been on several times.
Okay.
But to see the play and to feel those feelings that were brought to us through that play brought our history, brought a new part of our history to a whole new level.
Right, right. That context, right?
It was just amazing. It truly was an amazing story that we never even knew. So weeks after that, I couldn't go into the grocery store. I couldn't go to a restaurant without someone coming up to me, black or white, and saying, Tammy, did you know that our friend has shackles still? And this is north of the river.
Really?
Yeah, that they still have shackles in their basement.
Oh my goodness.
Did you know that we have a black cemetery and a white cemetery north of the river?
Oh.
There's so many pieces that have like really started to come together in our history that we knew we had to do more than just have the play.
Wow.
So with with Representative Brown in the back of my mind saying, "What are you doing for Black Americans?" I thought in our wrap-up meeting after the play, I said, we have to continue this. We have to continue to educate our local citizens and potential visitors to Hermon about this beautiful history. Right. Not everybody can claim that history.
Oh, no. I'd say most communities probably cannot, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So I'm so honored and so glad that we are moving forward with the symposium on Saturday, February 29th.
Yes.
We'll have 4 speakers there, Dr. Gary Kramer, Dr. John Wright, Dr. Sidney Norton, who wrote the book, and Cecilia Nadal.
Excellent.
All of these will be on a panel, and we'll be discussing the German immigrant abolitionists and what it does to Hermon, Missouri, USA.
Yes. Oh, that's wonderful. Can you tell us, so I think when most folks would think about mid-Missouri, right, they wouldn't necessarily think about hotbed of abolitionism, right?
Right.
How did those two things come to coincide and with Hermon as home?
Yeah, so when the Germans came to America, they came to a land that was free. Mm-hmm. So when they got off the boats, so to speak, in St. Louis, and they traveled up the Missouri River, and they may have done Defiance, Washington, New Haven, Hermon. They saw that there might have been some slavery starting there.
Yes.
And they were totally opposed to it. They came to the United States as a free America where slavery was not to be accepted.
Whoa.
Yes, it's deep.
Yeah. You just have to take that in for a second, right?
Yeah, you do. I mean, so one of those people that came started a newspaper, and he was Edward Mule. I have to keep some notes on it because there's so many names and so much, so many things that these men did, and so I have to keep some good notes. But Edward Mule and Carl Straley worked together to produce the Hermoner Wochenblatt, which was a newspaper that was actually produced by this printing press, which is the printing press that's in the basement of the Straley House on 2nd Street, which is part of the Deutsheim State Historic Site.
And it's still there?
It's still there. All of the little letters that, I mean, to go on the tour and understand what they actually had to do to produce a newspaper in that era is absolutely amazing. So these gentlemen worked together, and they did this weekly newspaper that was truly outspoken against slavery.
Wow.
So very exciting, and it truly is a part of our history that we need to learn more about, and we need to share it.
Well, and that's interesting too, because you have folks who are embracing, the idea of America, right? And saying that is something that even though they wouldn't necessarily be subjected to slavery, that they weren't going to accept other people being subjected to it. Because that was the law of the land at the time, right?
Right. It was starting to be. So these gentlemen actually joined the colored infantry and worked with the colored infantry to fight against slavery, which is absolutely amazing. I was just up on the campus, and I saw the statue of the colored infantry, and I'm like, that we have such a connection there, because Judge Arnold Krekel and James Milton Turner, who were educators, they were in part of this movement in Hermon, Missouri, and they are the ones that started Lincoln University.
Good grief.
Yeah. I never knew that.
No. I mean, and the idea that you would have people who didn't have to be segregated, right? Didn't have to serve in the colored infantry, who would volunteer and place themselves there, that says a lot too.
It does. These men truly weren't the norm. They went out of their way to really fight for that freedom. That's what they came to the United States for.
Yes.
They weren't going to see that happening in their newfound land. They just couldn't do it.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's exciting.
It is.
Man. Now, I heard through Is it Miss Nadal, Professor Nadal, Dr. Nadal?
Cecilia.
Cecilia.
Miss Nadal.
Miss Nadal. She shared with me that there might be a copy of the Missouri Ordinance that, you tell us.
Right, so there's only 3 copies of the Emancipation Proclamation.
Yes.
One of those is at the Deutsheim State Historic Site, and it will be on display on Saturday, Saturday, February 29th.
Wow.
Yes. So it is signed by these men as well.
Really?
And another gentleman that comes into play as well is, oh gosh, now his name just left me, of course. He is what we call the father of the grape and wine industry in Missouri, because, and he helped save, his name is Jorge Guzman.
Okay.
Took me a minute. He helped save the actual French wine industry in Europe. When they had the Phytophthora come through, it's a...
Is that kind of like a velociraptor?
It's like a blight, root rot, you know. He sent over 1 million cuttings of grapes from Hermon, Missouri, over to France to help save the grape and wine industry over there. His signature is on the Emancipation Proclamation.
Wow.
Yes. We have some amazing men that really, we just have not told enough of their story. And we really want to share that story, not just February 29th, but beyond.
Oh, well, sure, yeah. I can't imagine that this would be a one-time kind of event. No,
Yeah.
no. Well, so tell me about more of what's happening on the 29th.
Sure. So on the 29th is, for more information, first of all, you can go to hermann.tourism.director, and it's under German Heritage. The symposium is, well, let's start it in the morning.
Okay.
From 10 o'clock to about 1 o'clock is the open house at the Deutsheim State Historic Site, where you can go and see the printing press. You can learn some more of the history, and it is a highly recommended tour that you go there. And sometimes it takes us 2 and 3 times to go.
Is that right? To actually soak on it?
Yeah, because there's so much history. The normal tour there is 2 hours. And I really recommend that you take the tour. Having the Deutsheim State Historic Site in Hermon as a DNR facility is such a gift for us, and we really want to let more and more people know that we have this beautiful educational site in Hermon.
Yes.
So that's in the morning.
Okay.
And then from 2 o'clock to 5 o'clock is the symposium at the Fest Hall, which is on First Street, the Hermannhof Fest Hall. We do ask for pre-registration for the symposium, and that's just to go to mohumanities.org. And yet it is a free symposium.
Right.
We don't want to charge people to come because we want to share our story.
Yes, yes. And what was the website again for the...
It's mohumanities.org.
Okay.
/German-heritage. So it gets a little long.
No. German-heritage. Excellent.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, well, that's great. And I think that we'll be able to share the website here on the show, and that you'll have lots of folks calling, hopefully to pre-register, if you will.
Yes.
And it's awful kind of you to offer that at absolutely no cost.
No, we are so lucky that the Missouri Humanities Council has given us a grant, and with some funding from Visit Hermon, and probably way more volunteer work from Cecilia Nadal than she cares to admit. But there's just been such a collective group working on it, and including the current and past employees of the Deutsheim State Historic Site. It will be a wonderful day for Hermon, Missouri. It will be our first Black History Month celebration that we've ever done.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
And to have such a rich and deep history there, too. That's the other thing that kind of blows my mind.
It really does blow your mind. I mean, to know that we have all of this history, but yet it's been bottled up. And, you know, we didn't really talk about it. And since then, truly, the conversations that people have maybe texted me or called me or sent me little messages, there's a lot of stories to tell down the road. And I really think that after the symposium, we'll have to be like, okay, what's next?
Right.
What are we doing next?
Well, sure. Things that families in the area may know about.
Yes,
You know?
yes. And we actually, Cecilia put together a sort of a conversation back in December. She wanted to learn more about some of the local stories, just off the cuff stories.
Wow.
So there was Black Americans there was some of our good old German Americans there,
Yes.
and stories were shared and tears were shed.
Oh, wow.
And it was an absolutely amazing day of, one woman saying, yes, I had to come in the back door of a restaurant in Montgomery City, or a local businessman who, his father owned a business, and his father was not one of those that made the Black Americans come in the back door. He always served them with dignity and respect, and they came in the front door.
Right on.
So those were stories that, comparing one community to another, the way that Hermon rose above was just was pretty revolutionary. It was pretty amazing that we have that story.
Yeah. Well, that's beautiful. And I'll certainly make an intention to be there for some good jazz on the 22nd.
Absolutely.
And then, of course, be there for the symposium on the 29th.
That'll be great.
Yeah.
It's all downtown by the Amtrak station, so if you enjoy riding the Amtrak, I highly encourage riding the Amtrak that day as well. We have 2 stops from Kansas City a day and 2 stops from St. Louis a day that come to Hermon.
Oh,
so
really?
It makes it for a great family getaway.
Oh, absolutely. And that's an easy way to get there, too.
It is. Don't even have to think about it.
No. Somebody tells you when to get off and get on.
Right.
Well, that's cool. Okay. Well, and it's interesting to think that we've got that much Black history right there in Hermon that folks, like me, had no idea that it was there. Certainly very interested. And we're going to have a symposium. What's the reaction in the community been?
It has been overall very good. I've only heard positive feedback from people.
Yes.
From and the amount of recognition that we're getting from people like you and radio stations, TV stations, it's been really wonderful. They're really understanding that, wow, Hermon really does have a very special story to tell here. So I have only gotten positive feedback.
Good.
Yeah, so
Good.
no negative feedback whatsoever so far.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, and it kind of strikes me, right? Black history, right, is being more about people wanting to live with dignity and respect, equality, some level of justice in their daily lives, and that not being limited to Black people, that this is a human struggle, and that might be one of the larger messages that kind of gets delivered. That's cool.
We all have a very bright future.
Yes. Well, I'm excited. I'm really excited, and of course, I've been to Hermon before. And I'll tell you, I've done the duck dance. I understand a little bit about that, just a little bit, and had a good time then. This will give me a good reason to keep coming back. And I'm sure that many people are sharing this information and will continue to do the same.
Absolutely.
There's some other good things going on in Hermon, though.
Always.
Yeah? You mentioned that there is a jazz fest.
There is. I can't tell you the exact date, but I'll tell you it's late summer.
Okay.
Our lineup is not announced yet, but we will be having our 6th annual jazz festival this year.
Okay.
And it's an outdoor event at our amphitheater.
Okay.
It's a park at between 4th and 5th Streets, just on the kind of the southern end of the historic district, about 5 blocks from the Amtrak station.
Okay.
We've had some amazing bands play in the 5 years that we've been there. We usually have 4 to 5 to 6 bands play every year, and it has just really taken off for Hermon. We have probably seen crowds for Hermon, a big crowd in this park is 1,000 to 1,500 people, and several buses. So if you're interested in our jazz festival, get a group together and get a bus and come to Hermon and enjoy the day. And if you go to our website, it's actually the Wine and Jazz Festival, because that's who we are in Hermon. And it's winejazz.hermann.tourism.director. hermanwinejazz.com, excuse me, hermanwinejazz.com. And that is our website for the festival. And it's going to be a great concert. And this past year, we did it as a 3-day event where we actually did Friday, Saturday, and Sunday of jazz. Aaron and friends played Friday night.
I was going to ask you, yeah.
They played at a local nightclub, and it was just amazing, and people were so excited, and it set the tone for the weekend. And then we had the outdoor open air concert on Saturday, and then on Sunday, John Berkemeyer has a band, a local band, and they also played jazz at our beautiful Gasconade County Courthouse overlooking the Missouri River.
Yes.
And so we ended up with a beautiful 3-day weekend. And so be watching for that to unfold. We also have a Facebook page and an Instagram page as well for the festival. And it has been so neat to watch this whole new audience come to Hermon and appreciate our town for that whole weekend. But I really hope that we can stretch that throughout the year and do more throughout the year to get more jazz into Hermon.
I'm sure. And it sounds like Hermon's having a renaissance, if you will.
There's so many good things going on in Hermon. This coming weekend is the Chocolate Wine Trail, and it's sold out. So we paired chocolate with wine, and it's an amazing event that's been going on for probably 15 years. And it is there. So there's 7 wine trails throughout the year, and people can take advantage of those and come out and enjoy those. But really, about 40 weekends of the year, there is something going on, and I know.
It's incredible.
Yes, it is. It is, absolutely. And so, and typically, we've had so many little nightclubs and distilleries, little microbreweries pop up. So it's not hard to find something to do Thursday night, Friday night, Saturday, and possibly Sunday. So if you want that vibe, definitely come and enjoy us for 2 or 3 nights. Or if you don't want that vibe, you want something a little more casual and a little more low key, just come Sunday through Thursday, and it's a fantastic time. We have so many B&Bs and guest houses also that have popped up. I would safely guess that we have over 400 rooms between B&Bs and guest houses and like boutique hotels. We have just a really wonderful offering of different size rooms, different price points, different amenities, we're just so blessed, and we're so lucky in Hermon. We just have so many good things going on.
And how about for children? Do you have anything that your top 3 if a family brought some kids in?
I think I would definitely take them to the Joy Chime. I would take them to some of the shops that are more kid oriented.
Oh, okay.
And I also always go back to, even though it is wine, the tour at Stonehill Winery about their wine industry, pre-Prohibition, during Prohibition, and post-Prohibition is really a fascinating story. And I think kids going through those cellars, they are the largest network of underground cellars in North America.
Whoa.
I know. So for children to understand all of this that's going on basically in these caves, cellars, I think is a very intriguing story and something that will stick with them for a very long time. So during Prohibition, they actually grew mushrooms in those cellars. And so that all becomes part of the history. And I think it's really a great history tour for kids to go there. We also have one of my favorite museums also is the Historic Hermon Museum.
Oh, okay.
It's at the corner of 4th and Market, or excuse me, 4th and Schiller. And most people will remember it as our German school. But there's so much more history there than just German school history that it's now the Historic Hermon Museum.
Yes.
So there's steamboat history there. We have an amazing steamboat and train history.
You actually have a steamboat there?
Not in the museum, but there's steamboat pictures.
Pictures, okay.
Yeah. So I think that there's so much history there. Oh, and of course, the Hermon Farm.
Oh, sure.
So we have the Hermon Farm as well, which is a 2-hour tour that you can take your family on. You ride up the bluff in a tractor-drawn wagon, take the tour, learn about the Blackshire horses, which is a horse that is bigger than a Clydesdale, almost was near extinction, and is now coming back because of the work that's going on at the Hermon farm.
Oh, wow.
So there's so many great stories. We have a new website, visithermann.com.
Okay.
We've always had visithermann.com, but it is new. We are still working on the calendar of events, and so we launched it, but we still have some tweaking to do.
Sure.
And our businesses need to get all of their events listed, but always go to our website, visithermann.com, to see what all we have to offer. You know, there's the Katy Trail where children can, you can rent bikes in Hermon and go across to the Katy Trail. There's the Grand Bluffs Conservation Area. You can actually hike up the Grand Bluff and overlook the Missouri River Valley. So maybe I can't give you just the top 3.
Yeah, it's almost a dozen.
Yeah, there's so much to do. And of course, riding the train to Hermon is an amazing experience at so many families. And it's so economical to do it for a day, or to spend the night and then ride the train home the next day.
Yeah.
There's just so much. There really, really is.
Wow.
I know.
Wow. Well, that's incredible. That's incredible. Let me ask you one question before we take a break. Were any of those underground cellars related to the wineries used in the abolitionist movement?
We have started, Cindy Brown, who just actually was part of the German abolitionist booklet with Dr. Sidney Norton. I asked her to put together, I asked that question has come up a lot. And I asked her if she could research some of the buildings, some of the homes, because she knows those buildings from when they were built.
Oh, wow.
I know who lives in them now and who might have lived in them 50 years ago.
Yes.
But she knows who built them. She might know who the architect was, and she can do the research quickly to find out, any of that history. So far, we have not found that there's any connection there. Now, north of the river, we might find some different history.
Okay.
We don't know for sure yet.
All right.
So I feel like we're just starting to dig into some of that. But at this point, we don't have any solid evidence that there is.
Wow. Well, wouldn't it be interesting if we learned that part of the Underground Railroad, which everybody would probably agree was not necessarily underground at all, had its only underground component right in mid-Missouri?
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be something?
Almost every home in the downtown, or, many homes in Hermon have cellars.
Yes.
So it wouldn't necessarily be a big surprise.
Wouldn't surprise. Wow. Well, Tammy, thanks for being with us.
My pleasure. Thank you for asking.
We sure appreciate all the work you're doing in Hermon and within the state, because I have to tell you, it's not often that we think about troubling concepts such as slavery and are able to come up with a beautiful community living their history in the way that Hermon is. And so I, for one, am excited about being there. I think you'll get a lot of other people who will be there with you on February the 29th for the symposium, probably for February the 22nd for the jazz concert, if not Jazz Fest later this summer, but who will be celebrating with Hermon, both in body and spirit. So thank you very much for being with us.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thanks for joining us on the Rod Chappell Show. Today we've just had an incredible guest. Tammy Bruckerhoff has been the director there at the Tourism and Economic Development for Hermon, at the city of Hermon, for a while, taking the city through a renaissance that I have to tell you I'm excited for the prospects, not just for that community, but for Missouri and the United States. If there's ever a story that talks about how people can come together, united about ideas that are truly American, Hermon embodies that. We hope to see you February the 29th.